Green Lantern was supposed to launch Ryan Reynolds into the A-list, with a massive budget, a leading superhero role, and the chance to cement himself as a true blockbuster star. It was the kind of career-defining opportunity actors dream of. Instead, it became a disaster. The film was panned by critics, mocked by fans, and flopped at the box office, doing serious damage to Reynolds' career. What followed was a rough stretch, a string of box office bombs and fading studio confidence as it looked like a shot at superstardom had come and gone. But through it all, there was one character he refused to give up on: Deadpool. What started as a passion project quickly became a years-long grueling fight, up against studio skepticism, creative meddling, and years of being told it would never happen. To understand how Reynolds finally got the film made and pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in Hollywood history, let's take a closer look at how Deadpool saved Ryan Reynolds' career. Ryan Reynolds first became interested in playing Deadpool after New Line executives saw him in Blade Trinity and thought he was a perfect fit for the Merc with the Mouth. They sent him a stack of comics, and the first panel he opened featured Deadpool describing himself as looking like a cross between Ryan Reynolds and a Shar-Pei. Reynolds took it as a sign. It felt like fate. Unfortunately, the film would fall apart at New Line due to rights issues with the character. Years later, while developing X-Men Origins Wolverine, Fox wanted to pack the film with more mutants and decided to include Deadpool. Reynolds, who had previously tried to develop a standalone Deadpool film at New Line, was their top choice. But despite casting him, the studio made a series of baffling creative decisions. One of Deadpool's defining traits, his non-stop banter and pop culture-laced dialogue, was deemed too cheesy by Fox. Their solution? Seal his mouth shut. They also worried it wouldn't be believable for Wade Wilson to have access to swords after escaping the lab, so they surgically grafted them onto his arms. Reynolds was horrified. He thought the studio's take on the character completely missed the mark, but when he pushed back, Fox gave him an ultimatum: play Deadpool our way, or we'll cast someone else. Feeling boxed in, Reynolds reluctantly agreed, knowing this wasn't the version of Deadpool he believed in. Audiences were just as appalled. Fans of the character were furious with the portrayal, slamming the film for butchering everything that made Deadpool unique, especially turning him into a mutant science experiment. After the film's release, the studio moved forward with developing a Deadpool spin-off film, which would completely disregard his portrayal in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and instead return to the character's roots, much to Reynolds' relief. While the Deadpool spin-off was still stuck in development, Reynolds auditioned for Green Lantern and was offered the role, but his heart was set on playing Deadpool. Before accepting the part, he reached out to Fox and made one last appeal. If there was any real chance Deadpool would get made, he was willing to turn down Green Lantern in favor of it. But Fox told him they had no plans to greenlight the project, doubting it would ever move forward. They were uneasy about the film's R-rated tone, constant fourth wall breaks, and a lead character they felt was too unconventional and too risky for mainstream audiences. With that, Reynolds decided it was time to move on, and accepted Green Lantern instead. What was meant to be a star-making vehicle for Reynolds ended up doing serious damage to his career, as Green Lantern was met with critical backlash and underwhelming box office returns, ultimately scrapping plans for the film to be the start of DC's new cinematic universe. One of the most ridiculed elements of the film was the fully CGI Green Lantern suit. Because the suit comes from the ring and it's a suit of energy, the filmmakers opted to make the entire suit CGI, hoping it would appear otherworldly and visually distinct from the spandex and leather suits seen in other superhero films. Reynolds was initially hesitant about the decision, but the team believed it would help emphasize that the suit is a manifestation of his power, and also allow him to change in and out of it easily within scenes. However, when the film was released, audiences and critics alike slammed the suit for looking artificial and just downright bad. What was meant to set Green Lantern apart visually instead became a symbol of the film's broader missteps. For example, Green Lantern was a VFX-heavy production, with massive resources poured into visual spectacle, from the fully CGI suit to the elaborate cosmic environments. Reynolds, however, grew increasingly frustrated with how much emphasis was being placed on effects over character. At one point, he suggested they just write a scene the way people would actually talk, and make it a fun exchange of dialogue that doesn't cost anything. But those suggestions were ignored. Reynolds has since said the biggest lesson he took from Green Lantern was the importance of character over spectacle. In hindsight, even director Martin Campbell admitted, "I wish Reynolds had written the script. I think he would have done a great job," recognizing that Reynolds had a better grasp of the tone the film needed. The film's failure cast a shadow over Reynolds' leading man potential, and the projects that followed did little to help. With Green Lantern fresh in the industry's memory, Reynolds found it difficult to attract strong scripts or land roles in high-quality projects. Studios were hesitant to take a gamble on him, and many of the opportunities that did come his way were either uninspired or poorly executed. As a result, he ended up starring in a string of critical and commercial failures, like R.I.P.D., The Change-Up, and Turbo, as his career looked like it was in decline. All of this only strengthened Reynolds' determination decision to bring Deadpool to life the right way. He refused to let the character's potential die with Wolverine, or let his own career be defined by Green Lantern. To direct the project, Fox hired Tim Miller, a visual effects veteran and founder of Blur Studio, best known for high-end video game trailers like the cinematic for DC Universe Online, in which Luthor and a team of villains take on the Justice League. Miller had also worked on acclaimed title sequences, including The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. With deep industry connections, Miller secured the support of two heavyweights, James Cameron and David Fincher, both friends of his who read the Deadpool script and personally championed it to Fox executives. Still, progress was painfully slow. One of the lowest moments came when the team submitted the Deadpool script to Fox the same day the Avengers hit theaters. That weekend, Marvel's ensemble film shattered box office records, leading the Deadpool team to assume this would finally push Fox to act, as executives would see the appetite for superhero films and greenlight Deadpool by Monday. Instead, Fox came back with the opposite response. In light of the Avengers' success, they were now considering repackaging Deadpool as part of an ensemble, rather than giving him his own R-rated solo film. It was a gut punch, Reynolds recalled. In a last-ditch effort to move the project forward, the team even crafted a PG-13 version of the script, hoping it would ease the studio's concerns and finally earn a green light. But after reviewing it, Fox ultimately agreed that Deadpool simply didn't work within the constraints of a traditional PG-13 rating. Eventually, Fox agreed to a small compromise. They gave Miller a low six-figure budget to produce a short piece of test footage through Blur Studio. Using CGI and with Reynolds voicing Deadpool, the footage captured everything fans loved about the character: his humor, action, and fourth-wall breaking attitude. Unfortunately, the test footage failed to convince Fox to greenlight the film, and for a while, it looked like Deadpool was dead in the water. That is, until the footage mysteriously leaked online in 2014. Though no one officially took credit, Reynolds has openly joked that he might have provided an assist. Regardless of who was responsible, the impact was undeniable. The footage went viral almost immediately, with fans rallying around it and flooding social media with demands for the film to be made. The overwhelming response finally forced Fox to acknowledge what Reynolds had been saying for years. There was a massive, underserved audience eager for a true Deadpool movie. Not long after, longtime X-Men writer and producer Simon Kinberg joined the project. Internally, the team considered him the angel on their shoulders. His arrival gave the film credibility within the studio, and once he came aboard, everything kicked into high gear, with the film going from delay after delay to full speed ahead. However, Fox wasn't done meddling. Just 48 hours before Deadpool was officially greenlit, Fox slashed the budget by $7 to $8 million. The sudden cut forced the creative team into a last-minute rewrite, trimming roughly 9 pages from the script. Among the cuts were a major motorcycle chase, originally planned for the climax of the 12 Bullets fight, and a large-scale gunfight in the final act. To work around the lost action beats, the writers came up with a clever and now iconic solution. Deadpool would simply forget his bag of guns before the final battle, turning a budget constraint into a running joke that perfectly fit the film's irreverent tone. When Deadpool finally hit theaters in 2016, it shattered expectations, breaking the record for the highest-grossing R-rated film at the box office. Soon after, Reynolds had a realization that would redefine his career. Instead of just being the face of someone else's brand, why not own the product he was promoting? Armed with this insight, he began investing in companies he believed in, brands where he could have a real stake and creative control. To power this new approach, he and longtime collaborator George Dewey launched Maximum Effort in 2018, a marketing and production company born out of their work promoting the Deadpool films. They understood that marketing didn't need bloated budgets to be effective. It just needed to be sharp, fast, and culturally relevant. Maximum Effort quickly made a name for itself with its witty, self-aware, and low-cost viral campaigns. One of their biggest wins came in response to the infamous 2019 Peloton ad, which sparked backlash for depicting a husband gifting his already fit wife an exercise bike, followed by a montage of her vlogging her fitness journey, which she later nervously screens for him. Viewers quickly labeled it tone-deaf and dystopian, accusing it of promoting unhealthy body image expectations and portraying a woman trapped in a performative relationship. Within 48 hours, Maximum Effort released a parody ad for Aviation Gin, which Reynolds owned, featuring the same actress, now looking emotionally scarred and sipping a martini, while her friends reassure her that she's safe now. The ad didn't need to name Peloton, everyone got the reference. It was clever, timely, and instantly viral, racking up millions of views and generating widespread media coverage, all while promoting Reynolds' own gin brand. This strategy, using humor and cultural savvy to market products he owned, paid off in a big way. Reynolds helped reposition Aviation Gin into one of the most talked about spirits in the industry, eventually selling it in a deal worth up to $610 million. He applied the same approach to Mint Mobile, turning the budget wireless carrier into a disruptive brand with personality, culminating in an over $1 billion acquisition by T-Mobile in 2023. In the end, it was Deadpool, the film Fox didn't want to make and the character Reynolds refused to give up on, that not only revived his career, but gave him the blueprint for everything that followed. From resurrecting his place in Hollywood to building a billion-dollar business empire, Deadpool didn't just save Ryan Reynolds, it turned him into a powerhouse. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of Hollywood's untold stories and unmade movies.